When you reach,
I might read this is me before reading.
Wait, do that.
I'm already and I've read the Torah.
That's just mine.
I'm Judah.
Wait, 3, 2, 1.
I'm Judah. This is me before reading Torah.
This group's fun.
No,
It's a fun
you
group.
should do. I look like oh, and there's gonna be.
Yeah. Where are you putting it?
Why do I have to?
What is wrong? Rishikesh from the League. Is that
It's apparently a northern European melody, but
I'm not mad.
all right?
that's where they got the melody from.
I would like, okay, give me.
Works for me.
Oh, my second to last.
Wait, how does it?
What?
Right. Yeah.
I was at sign.
Elena likes me.
You can kind of go
I
if
understand
you like
how
doing the
it's
idea.
I do.
You're right.
What? I know. See,
Why did you? I mean, do you know they keep dice
Yeah, but
now with
still.
the new like hair straightener? And I kind of want to buy it. Where is my arm? No, it's like dice like your back.
Bella.
They have like air dryers like for your hair. I need blow dryers, and then they have like
right before it. That's why. Oh, there we go.
If I want it. So not true.
Her Jewish brother. You should have been. You should have been in New York. So it's gonna be a surprise. Wait, so is it you said that you're not recruited in the program?
No, we didn't see that.
So he has not seen you. Does he know what's in it? Can we talk about eggs and baskets for a second?
Yes.
We can go for
You do not, like, right now it's fine, phone is fine. But when the service starts,
No
make
phone.
sure your phone is off, away,
Yeah.
all that.
You gotcha. Wait, how does that do with eggs and baskets?
Because you said I won't put all my eggs in the basket.
I think you just make it fun.
So I was just kind of getting your attention as I was speaking of eggs and baskets.
Don't look at my face. Look. Oh, See, why was so pretty photos like this, but I can never
My
look
dad
like
would-
that. When, like,
It was like,
okay, but normally, look at, like, look, don't look at like this part of it, like, you know what I'm saying, like, that look, ever, honestly, then I can never look like that in, like, other photos, like, why can't I just
this
look
is
like
like
that?
Judah.
It's just more dramatic.
Yesterday.
Well, listen, you know what, it's worse than this one.
Oh, man.
I've never ever
By the way, you still have like 3 or 4 minutes before we start to finish with that last year. Can you, so like, annotate.
So either you can just take out the pen and write
Right.
stuff, or if you wanted to, you could tap up here and then
Right.
do that, and then just.
There's another question I had too, and I forgot about this, but whatever. Like if you wanted to, like put a little thing there that showed you what a F sharp would be, or whatever, how would you do that?
I could either draw one in, or there's a way to insert a picture. Nope, that's not it. Let's see if I can remember how to do it.
I feel like I remember seeing maybe under that screen, something like, which is not going. Oh, that one. It was under. Because I remember trying this, but I couldn't.
There's a way to do it. I know there's a way to do
That
it.
thing do?
That's just adding a sharp.
Stamps.
Stamps.
That's what it is.
So you can add stamps, sharps, flats, whatever. And then there are more stamps. that you can
Right,
put
but
down. Then you can also add a stamp.
and you could draw it
And you
yourself.
can import from photo.
I see. Okay. That's how it is.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
It's right before you make better. You don't want to be the one. You don't want to be before better. Right before the first right? Yeah. You don't want to be a floor good thing. Well, I mean, what happens? There's also the kind of tall line. So like it's better to go after you before below.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know that's weird.
You ride the.
That was weird.
Yeah.
You just gotta look at the last No, it isn't.
Start.
Mekuteret mor morule
ואני לא הרואה בשושנים
Wow, thank you all so much for being here. Shabbat Shalom and welcome. So glad that Cantor Snyder's here. By the way, you should know that Cantor Snyder's done with school. He just came down to be a part of this with us this one last time for tonight, and then of course next year as well. But so glad that Cantor Snyder's here with us. And thank you all for being here. This is confirmation. It's a regular Shabbat service, but with an additional element, which is confirmation. So, you get to hear their thoughts and not just my thoughts. You get to hear them read, or chant rather, from the Torah portion, and we pick during the service of confirmation the 10 Commandments, because it's connected with Shavuot. But we're so glad that you're here. And if you're looking at a book, tonight you don't need a book. Tonight you need a booklet. The entire service is in this booklet. There's plenty of them out there. Make sure that you got one. You can see, by the way, on the front page, or the first page, the name of all of the students who are going to be confirmed this evening. And we're just so glad to be together, and we're so glad to be with them as they lead us in our service. And so we begin our service officially with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. You can find it you know where to find it. I guess it's page 2, though it says, though it's the first page of writing, it's page 2. This is the blessing for the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
And we continue with Kiddush l'Shabbat, and the following prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit kibuyon tehila lemikrahe kodesh zeker l'siyat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
All right. So our first reader or speaker or sharer, shall we say, is Atlas Baresi, and so we invite her forward at this time.
Hello. Temple Beth Shalom has been in my life since I was born. It started with mommy and me classes when I was 2, and my mom was the same age as she is now. She's ageless, obviously. In this class, she met a woman named Hannah Goldstein, who had a daughter my age, Irene. Irene and I became the best of friends right away, and then we became family friends. I'm not actually sure of the order of events because I can't imagine a world without the entire Goldstein family in our life. In preschool, I met Abby Jeffers, Judah, Lucy, and other key characters in my life. I have pictures of us stuffing our faces in ways only children can achieve, of us playing with toys, reading, coloring, and growing up together. All of these people have been in my life for as long as I can remember. They have changed and shaped me into the person I am today. These peers and friends are the reason why completing confirmation is important to me. This is the last time we will see each other regularly at Temple Beth Shalom, and the last time we will stand on the bima together and chant Torah together. Doing confirmation is a way for me to hang on to these friendships for dear life and see the people I love here at TBS for some of the last times. Every single person on this bima means so much to me, and I worry about growing apart for them. I still don't think I'm ready to leave the comfort of the nest I've made here for myself. I wonder if I ever will be. But in being part of the confirmation class, I've given myself a few wonderful months to savor the words of the people around me, to commit their faces to memory and memorize this point in our life, in the desperate hope to never lose these people. My choosing to do confirmation is me hanging on to these friendships for dear life. I'm scared to live in a world without all of you in it. The question I was given was, why did you decide to do confirmation? Simply put, because I love all of my friends here, and I'm going to do my best to keep them in my life. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Beautifully said. So I probably could have done a better job of explaining that each and every one of the students was asked to answer one of a handful of questions. One was, why is confirmation important to me? One was, why is being a Jew important to me? Why is being a Reformed Jew important to me? Why is the state of Israel important to me? All possible questions, and they all picked various different topics. So during the course of the service, you'll hear various different topics. Our service continues, though, with the Baruch Hu. It's on page 3, and would everyone please rise.
I'd like to start off by saying thank you to everyone who's supported me over the years. My parents, my sister, my pets, my friends, the Jew crew / Hebrews, Rabbi Goldstein, my grandparents, and everyone who's helped me and loved me throughout my life, whether they are here in person or in spirit. For my confirmation speech, the prompt that spoke to me was why I'm proud to be a Reformed Jew. I've been a Reformed Jew my entire life. My grandfather Ephraim was a cantor at a large Reformed synagogue in New York City, Beth Shalom, which led me to develop a special connection to the movement. I've grown up here at TBS, so the only type of Judaism I've identified with is Reform. It didn't take me long to identify the reason for my pride in being a Reformed Jew. I'm proud to be a Reformed Jew because Reformed Judaism is inclusive. My first real exposure to other forms of Judaism came this past summer when I was lucky enough to go on the TBS tour of Israel with my family. The first stop on that tour was Jerusalem, and the timing worked out so that we stayed there during Shabbat. There are a lot of Orthodox Jews and Hasidim in Jerusalem. One of my most memorable experiences in Jerusalem was walking around on a Friday night with my family and seeing all the Hasidic Jews walking to or from services. Most were men, and many looked like they chose their outfits out of the Poland Jewish catalog, Spring-Summer 1880. As Miranda Priestley would say, groundbreakingly, there were no florals for spring. Mostly long black robes and large hats. Let me just say, I have never felt more guilty for showing my knees than on that night. We were in the desert, yet I could feel the judgment of the Orthodox people staring into my bare knees as if my skin was their enemy and a cause of disgust. The Reformed Jewish community has never made me feel guilty for who I am or like I couldn't fit in simply because I exist as I do. I'm a queer Jewish woman with a tendency to challenge the status quo. Orthodoxy would never allow people like me to be visible or free to live authentically. In most religions, Orthodoxy tends to shun women and queer people, shaming them and telling us that we're less than. I'm so eternally grateful that this isn't the case here at TBS and in most Reformed synagogues. As a Reformed Jew, I get a chance to speak my mind and make decisions for myself. I'm allowed to participate in a multitude of Jewish studies and activities, and my opportunities are abundant. I don't think I would survive in a Hasidic community. I'm simply too stubborn and rebellious. Speaking of rebellion, I'd like to go a little off script here. This isn't printed in your programs, but I had another funny run-in with Orthodox Jews during our confirmation class trip to New York. It must have been at least, sorry laughing, it must have been at least -11 degrees outside, and we were all bundled up. We were walking through the Lower East Side, out of Chinatown and into the Jewish neighborhoods. On a Saturday morning, we passed a Jewish bar. Rabbi Goldstein's curiosity got the best of him, and he started peering at two Orthodox men across the street outside the bar. The men saw Rabbi Goldstein, shouted, "Jew!" excitedly at him, and came across the street to talk to our group. The two men had both very clearly had too much to drink, as they had just come from the bar. They loudly and drunkenly told Rabbi Goldstein how they had recognized him as Jewish from across the street, and even though they weren't sober, they still managed to argue over the Torah with him. Then once it was revealed we were a confirmation group, they went, "Oh!" and one of the men came up to us. Now when I say us, I mean me and 4 boys, including Judah over there. Keep in mind that when the men came over, I followed my gut instinct. When there are crazy drunk men, hide. I had hidden behind one of the guys, and since it was so cold, I was wearing long baggy jeans and a black trench coat and a giant, with the giant hood up, beanie, gloves. And since I had surrounded myself in black puffy fabric, was surrounded by guys, and the men were too drunk to have sensible vision, the Hasidic man mistook me for another man. He came and shook the boys' hands and gave them a slap on the back while calling them "Jewish brother!" And then when he got to me, he paused, looked blankly at me for a second, and then smiled and said, "Jewish brother!" while he slapped me on the back. Then after arguing with the rabbi some more and offering a group of 16-year-olds many different types of alcohol, they went back to their bar. Let me put this into context for you. A Hasidic man had just broken Jewish code by touching a woman he wasn't married to because he was so drunk he thought I was a man. This experience was a cultural reset for me because one, my view of Orthodox people changed. Hasidic people let loose too. And I realized how goofy religious Orthodox rules are. As a Reformed Jew, I'm glad I'm allowed to shake people's hands without breaking a law. Now, back to the matter at hand. Why am I proud to be a Reformed Jew? Reformed Judaism understands modernity and adapts while staying true to the core values of Judaism. It's important to be able to grow and evolve as individuals, so why shouldn't our communities? Reformed Judaism spreads love and community. To me, the way I practice Judaism is less about rules and following traditions perfectly, but more about keeping the spirit of the customs alive. It's about being unapologetic in my Jewishness, owning my culture, and celebrating the community I've formed through it. The fact that someone like me is allowed to have pride in Judaism is so demonstrative of the love and acceptance that's present within Reformed Judaism. Temple Beth Shalom has shown me so much love, and now I can pay that love forward. I will continue to have pride in my synagogue and hold my head high as a Reformed Jew. Shabbat Shalom.
I was nervous. Now, just 1 second. Just so it doesn't so you don't wonder about this. There is one small detail about this story which you got a little wrong, but it's mostly right. And that is they weren't at a bar.
They weren't at a bar? I thought it was a bar.
It was like a synagogue in which after services that they were all drinking scotch. And
It was an oneg.
it was like an oneg. It was like one of their types of onegs.
They took it really serious.
So, but no. Everything else, the way she described it, was entirely correct. Drunk for sure, middle of the street, yelling and all that stuff. Just not from a bar, because you probably wouldn't be able to go on a Shabbat, go into a bar, because they would be then carrying money and paying. But everything else was entirely exactly as I remember it, and the bar is only a small piece of the better story. Well said, Lena. Thank you so much. Elena, please come on up.
Hello, my name is Elena Durkin, and I want to share what being Jewish means to me. My Jewish journey began when I was 4 years old, and we moved to Annapolis. I went to preschool at Temple Beth Shalom, where I learned about mitzvot, Shabbat, being a mensch, and all the Jewish holidays. Throughout the years, I have learned many great values that have shaped me as a person. Working hard to become a bat mitzvah has taught me to work hard in school and sports. All of these things are great, but the biggest thing Judaism has given me are my friends. I met some of my best and closest friends right here in preschool. We have grown up together, and the thing that brought us together was being Jewish. I celebrate most holidays with the Jew crew, and I have learned what real friendship is. One of the most memorable holidays with the Jew crew was Passover of 2021. We set out a table in my backyard and told the Passover story in the rain while socially distanced. Despite the rough conditions, the Jew crew stuck together and kept the Jewish tradition alive. Shout out to the Goldsteins for sticking through with us. I would like to have my own Jew crew that I can carry on holiday traditions with in the future. Another one of my favorite Jewish memories is cooking holiday foods with my family. Coming from a big family, we cook a lot of food on the holidays. From kugel to latkes to hamantaschen, we have it covered. Sometimes it's hard to get together with family when everyone lives in different places, but the holidays bring us together. Being Jewish to me means having people who have shared values and traditions. I would like to conclude by thanking my family, friends, and the rabbi for helping me through the confirmation process.
Would you please rise as we continue page 6 with the Shema?
Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up, and you shall write them on the door. You shall bind. We're going to try that again. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand. All good. And they shall be for frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
Let's see.
When I moved to Annapolis at the age of 7, I became the only Jew in my entire grade at school. We began learning about different religions as a part of our middle school curriculum. I soon realized that I was the only Jewish person in my class who had any real first-hand knowledge about Judaism. Whenever someone had a general question about Judaism, the teachers looked at me for my input. When we learned about Jewish holidays, me again. When we reached the Holocaust unit, all eyes were on me. But even when faced with what I took as unknowing looks from some of my classmates, I was never ashamed, I was proud. I am proud to be a part of the 0.2% of Jews on planet Earth. I'm part of a small but strong and resilient community. There's something inside of me that is hard to explain to others, but it was put in there by all the people that came before me, and something that I intend to pass on to my kids one day. I find it hard to explain what being Jewish means to people of other religions. It's like being in a special club whose members are all kinds of different people, but who have something important in common, and we all understand, but that we can't totally explain to others. And when we meet other Jews, we have an immediate connection, like finding out that that person also has this thing inside of them that was put there by all the people that came before them, who were tied to all the people that came before me, none of whom ever met each other, but all of whom have something special in common. Last summer, I worked as a counselor at a Jewish community center at the beach in New Jersey. Many of the other counselors there were Jewish, and feeling that connection to each other made it easy to become friends with the people of all ages, many of whom I still talk to regularly, and one of whom I am going to go visit in college, only if my mom and dad let me. My sister is headed off to college in the fall. I watched her go through the process of picking a school, and she told us that a big factor in her decision was simply where she could picture herself. I've heard her talk about what's on her mind for the next year, being away from home, where she wants to live, who her roommate will be, and what snacks she plans to keep in her refrigerator. All this has made me think about what it will be like when it's my turn to go to college. I don't know where I want to go, but I know that it will be important for me to be able to picture myself there. Part of what I'm anxious about is how I'll meet people. Will I make friends? Will I have people to hang out with? Whether it turns out to be right or not, as I picture it now, I know that wherever I go and whenever I get there, I am part of this special club called Judaism, and that there will be other people in that club too. So if nothing else, I've already got something in common with people I haven't even met yet. Having that inside of me is like having a special strength. It's part of me, I can rely on it when I need it, and I can use it for good, for me and for others. That's a pretty special thing that no one can ever take away from me. That's why I'm proud to be a Jew.
Mi Chamocha, Song of the Sea.
Mi Chamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Te'ilot, Oseh Fe'eleh, Malechutecha Ra'u Banecha, Bokei Hayam, Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'eli Anu ve'hameru Adonai Yimlo Ve'olam va'ed.
Our next talk, Irene Goldstein.
Okay, so I'd first like to point out that the speech in this packet is not my finished speech, so you can just discard it, and I will read you my actual speech. So hello, my name is Irene Goldstein, and today I will be answering why completing confirmation is important to me. Completing confirmation is an important milestone in a young Jewish person's life. It is a time when we are given the opportunity to explore our faith more deeply and to learn more about what it means to be Jewish. The rabbi in our confirmation class encouraged us to ask questions, explore the readings and lessons of different holidays in ways we never could have imagined, and even challenge some of those stories that we've been told at a young age, like the story of Passover and the Hanukkah miracle. I feel as a sophomore in high school that my Jewish education has only just begun. It was only 4 years ago that I had my bat mitzvah, and I still have a lot to learn. But with help from the rabbi and my friends and family, the lessons I apply moving forward in my Jewish education will propel me into the never-ending lessons this religion has to offer. Something that I learned during my time in confirmation that has helped me in my Jewish journey is real Israeli cooking. Our time in confirmation is split between lessons with the rabbi and cooking, which also happens to be with the 8th grade. Through our cooking lessons, I've learned how to make hamantashen, hummus from scratch, and many other fun things. Even though this isn't necessarily religious study related, food has always been an important part of my Jewish identity growing up. Every major Jewish holiday that we celebrate can be tied to food. On Hanukkah, my mom makes latkes, and during one year, totally inedible jelly donuts. On Rosh Hashanah, Miss Durkin makes brisket, which is one of the best dishes in my opinion. Elena, Abby, and I made more hamantashen after we were inspired by our confirmation cooking. But learning how to cook these foods means that I can share on the recipes with my family and with my children when the time comes. I'm not sure what my Jewish education will look like in the future due to college and after that a job, but I'm grateful to Temple Beth Shalom for allowing me to complete this next part of my faith. Thank you.
So Let There Be Love, page 8.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, לשלום. והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
All right, our service continues with the tefillah, bottom of page 8, and then, of course, page 9 as well. We invite you to please rise.
Adonai, Ananana svatai tivta, Ananana ufi tegilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Yananana svatai tivta, Ananana ufi tegilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana svatai tivta, Ananana ufi tegilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Ahavot V'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Yeshrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Menit Umechayeh, Umashmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We call upon Judah Goldstein.
The state of Israel means so much more to me than just the Jewish homeland or amazing vacation destination. Israel is the leader in the tech industry, exporting popular driving assistant app Waze, the USB drive, and creating the very first firewall that secures digital material safety for nearly every digital thing that exists. I'm not going to talk about that, though. Old news. Instead, what I'm going to talk about is this company that's been so critical to my passion of filmmaking. It's the up-and-coming, Israeli-based film and video stock asset company, Artlist. Whoa, that was a lot of words. I could get overly detailed about this, but for the sake of this not taking all night, I won't. The short version is, Artlist creates music tracks, stock video clips, sound effects, and pro image and video editing software for filmmakers and content creators. They have recently made an acquisition that puts them on the same caliber as, and direct competition to, Adobe. You probably recognize Adobe from Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and the rest of their creative cloud. Anyways, I digress. It's a really cool, versatile tool that I use quite often in the films I make. And even cooler is that Artlist is based in Israel, right in Tel Aviv. This past summer, during my family's annual trip to Israel, instead of visiting the headquarters, I insisted on visiting the headquarters of Artlist. Every time we walked near it, I would think, Artlist is right over there, or it's so close. And then we would walk by. Near the end of our trip, while everyone was at the beach, my father and I ventured over to Achad Ha'an Street. I was aware, of course, that it existed and was located in Tel Aviv. However, when we arrived at the location, I was bombarded with the feeling that I did not expect. I finally understood that this stuff, the pro film industry, was much closer than I had expected. The post manager, whom my dad and I met, led us into the courtyard and had a conversation with us. I told him that I make films, and I use their editing software, HitFilm. Again, to my amazement, because I'd only heard of this stuff online, he asked if I had the iOS app that they developed installed on my iPhone, which, of course, I do. Alright, you guys are probably bored to death of all the technical information I'm putting into this, so I'll end it right here. The state of Israel is important to me because it represents so much more than the historical homeland of our people, and so much more than the place that has been described as the startup nation. Instead, it is the blend of my personal culture and personal passion.
And finally, our last speaker, Abby Jeffers.
I'm Abby.
And I'm not.
Look around. All of us here on the Bima tonight are all unique, but we all have one thing, a very important thing in common. It would be easy to say, sure, we're all Jewish, but there is much more that we share. We are all committed to our community, and we have all worked to remain a part of it. Staying in touch with my friends from religious school has been important to me. These friendships are the longest ones I've had. Our shared memories go back to preschool. We continue to do things together, and our families continue to share the high holidays as a group. No matter how things have changed, these friendships have remained constant. It was great to go through confirmation with my friends and the rabbi. The most interesting part of working with the rabbi over the past years was his willingness to debate things with me and Irene. One such discussion was about gossip, and that turned very good. As you know, gossip is not encouraged by the Torah. Quote, "Thou shalt not go up and down as a toddler among the people, neither shalt thou stand idle by the blood of the neighbor." Sorry, that was hard, but it's enough. However, after our discussion during confirmation class, I realized that what may at first glance appear to be gossip is actually an important part of developing an individual. Sometimes gossip can help us identify the traits that we respect in others and those traits that we dislike. The discussions in confirmation class helped me shape my own morality. While morality was an important part of my experience over the last year, I also really enjoyed the cooking. I have come to understand why cooking was a part of my confirmation experience. A people's culture is reflected in food. Perhaps my favorite recipe that we prepared was the Jerusalem bagel, Of course it was tasty. It may have been the best bagel I've ever had. It tasted like a pretzel, and it was a perfect combination between sweet and savory, just like life. The Jerusalem bagel has a unique shape. It is not a typical round bagel. I was struck by this and started thinking about it. The bagel isn't a circle. It looked more like a racetrack, a stretched out zero. One length of the bagel is as long as the other, and the two lengths are joined together by a curve at each end. How does this relate to me, you may ask? Let me explain. This special bagel is a metaphor for my life. My life to this point is represented by the first length of the Jerusalem bagel. During my 16 years, I've grown and developed, and now I find myself 2 years away from a change in direction, college. I will take what I have learned with me when I go to college. Although I will certainly have new experiences, my experiences to date will certainly shape how I approach my future. My college years will be like the curve of the Jerusalem bagel and will help determine what comes next. I do not know what my future holds, but I do know that what I have learned up until now and during college will influence its ultimate form. Of course, the two ends of the Jerusalem bagel eventually meet to form an elongated O. This complete shape that is formed will reflect my life as a whole. I never thought gossip and bagels would have an impact on my life, but I know that they have and they will continue to do so.
Thank you, Abby. All right, so we continue with our evening prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech hador lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech hador lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levaret et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We pause now for a moment of silence.
יהיו לרצון אמרי והגיון ליבי. יהיו לרצון אמרי והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון אמרי והגיון ליבי. Hiu leratzon imre fi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri ve'gohali Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri ve'gohali Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock, and my redeemer.
All right, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for taking the Torah out of the ark, begins at this time. Page 12, or at the bottom of the page, but the words aren't on that page, so you're just going to have to just go with us on this. But we ask everyone to please rise.
Yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, dai dai dai. Ve'asu ish tachat gafno, ותחת תאנתו ואין מכרים לפי אדוני צבאות דיבר כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו
Shema Yisrael
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadol Adonai iti, unirobima Shemo Yachdav. You may be seated. All right, so I mentioned to you before, but I will say again, that the Torah portion that we're reading is from the Ten Commandments. It is customary that confirmation happens around the time of the festival of Shavuot. Shavuot is our festival in which we celebrate receiving the Torah. And symbolically, the students in the confirmation class are indeed symbolically receiving the Torah this evening. So, and what do you read on Shavuot? 10 Commandments. So that's what we're going to do. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. We've divided up the Torah portion, so each of the students get a chance to read or chant a little bit of it, some a little more than others, most about the same. We are going to begin. I'm going to call all of them up by their Hebrew names. All 7 of you will just kind of stand around here, and then we'll do the blessing together. And then after the blessing, we'll start with the chanting, okay? So, I will call you all up. Yahamdu. This is first Atlas. Elisheva, B'nai Sarah, V'jo. This is Lena. Malka, Bat Yonatan, V'sara. Elena. Eliana, Bat David, V'sara. Lucy is Mira, Shoshana, Bat Tevia, Vilori. Irene, Leah, Bat Melech Eliezer, V'chana. Judah, Yehuda, Nisim Yerushalmi, Ben Arav Ari, V'arav Chana. And Abby, Abigail, Bat Ronen, V'sara. Beautiful. Come a little bit more around this way, just so everyone's in the. I want to get you in the shot. Perfect. You're all in. All right, so we're going to do the blessing, the Aliyah blessing together, and then we'll get started. So, you need it? Let's see. I'm going to just get it out here for anyone who needs it. Are you ready? Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam
Let's
Va'ed.
repeat that. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Vayidaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lamor anochim et Adonai Elohecha asher hotzecha me'eretz Mitzrayim me'beit avadim.
Hey, you're right here.
Yeah.
All right. Lucy. See it?
Lo Yehelecha Elohim Ahirim Al Panai Lo Ta'aselecha Vesel Vechol Timona Asher Bashmayim Mima Ve'asher Ba'aretz Mitahat Ve'asher Ba'mayim Mitahat La'aretz.
Nice job.
Lo tishtachav lechem v'lo te'ovdeim ki Anohi Adonai Elohecha Elkanah Poked Avon Avon Albanim Al Shileshim V'al Rebbeim Lisonai.
Ve'osei chesed lalahim le'ohavai ulshomrei mitzvotai. Lo tisav et Shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo yinakev Adonai et asher yishav et Shemo lashav.
The next one is. That's you.
Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho, sheshet yamim ta'avod, v'asita kol melachtecha, v'yom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha, lo ta'aseh kol melacha, ata uvincha uvitecha, עבדך ואמתך ובהמתך וגרך אשר בשעריך.
Nice job.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, את הים וכל אשר בם, וינח ביום השביעי. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו. כבד את אביך ואת אמך, למען ויאריכון ימיך על האדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך.
לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב, לא תענה ברעך את שקר, לא תחמוד את בית רעך, לא תחמוד אשת רעך, ועבדו ואמתו ושורו וחמורו וכל אשר לרעך.
Fabulous. All of you, fabulous. We're going to do the blessing afterwards. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Back to your seats. That was fabulous. Each and every one of them took one or two of the Ten Commandments. So that's why sometimes it didn't end on how you thought it was going to end, but they were doing it by commandments. I just want to mention before we put the Torah away that I just want to there are some people in our congregation who are struggling, and I wanted to just share some of their names right now. One, Eric Harris, along with Laura McDaniel and Mika Rome and Beth Smith and Leslie Harris and Joma Mangan. Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, Adonai our God, for you are the source of healing and health. Amen. So at this time, we return the Torah to the Ark. I'll begin by lifting up the Torah so everyone can see precisely the part that they chanted for us, and it'll be in the middle of the Torah. It'll be, if you look at it on the right-hand column, kind of about 80% down, and then on the left-hand column, it went about 30% of the way down, or 40%, and you can kind of see on the left-hand column, it'll be, it'll look a little different than the Torah typically looks, and that's where the Ten Commandments are. In any event, as I lift up the Torah, please rise.
Bezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe B'nei B'nei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai B'yad Moshe Yai Nai 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 Yai Nai 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 Yai Nai 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 Yai Nai Nai Yai nai nai nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai.
So please remain standing, and we return the Torah to the Ark with Eitz Chaim He, which can be found at the bottom of page 13.
Eitz Chaim He, Lemach Asikim Ba, 동의 못해하 샬롬 하시베 우아도나이 엘레카빈 나주가 가데시아메누 에케덴.
Please be seated. There is a beautiful, beautiful poem we're reading, written by Rabbi Abba Hillel Silver. This one slightly adapted from the original by Rabbi Abba Hillel Silver. Nonetheless, it has become a tradition, at least in the last 20 years. And I say in the last 20 years because I know that I instituted it when I arrived here. But so for 20 years, the students in the confirmation class have read this together. It's a journey down Jewish history lane and the connection that we have to our Jewish history. And so at this time, what I'd like to do is invite the confirmation class to rise and make sure you got this document in your hands as we continue with I Stood with Abraham.
I stood with Abraham in his lonely vigil and read the destiny of my people in the stars.
I was with Isaac when he built the altar, where his faith and devotion were put to the test.
I stood with Jacob when he wrestled through the night and won a blessing at the break of dawn.
I was with Moses, an alien prince among an alien people. Unshod, I stood with him before the vision in the wilderness, and from the fire I heard the voice summoning him.
I was with Hannah praying at the Shiloh to become a mother.
I was at Sinai and entered there the everlasting covenant between my people and its God.
I suffered and I hungered with them all the way across the wilderness to the promised land.
I was with Joshua at Jericho and with Deborah by the waters of Megiddo.
I stood with the blind Samson in his agony. I heard the wild cry of his desperate courage as he pulled the pillars over the Philistines.
I was with Deborah as she judged and led her people with faith.
I heard Samuel admonish his people to remain free and not to reject God by enslaving themselves to a king.
I listened to the harp of David, and I saw him bow before the wrath of Nathan and before the truth of his accusation.
I heard Solomon in the temple on the day he dedicated it as a house of prayer for all peoples, and I learned from him of a God whom heaven and the hosts of heaven cannot contain, whose compassion extends to all, to the stranger who comes from afar.
I was with the prophets who came to destroy old worlds and to build new ones.
I heard them lash out against injustice. I warmed at their compassion for the weak.
I was with my people by the rivers of Babylon, and I heard their oath, "If I forget thee, O Jerusalem."
I entered their makeshift synagogues in Babylon and learned there that prayer and study can be as beloved to God as the sacrifices of the priests in the temple or the songs of the living.
I was with my community, gathering grains, cooking by the fires, nourishing children.
I sat with the sages and the scribes who patiently interpreted the word of God and slowly formed the oral law.
I moved among the mountains of Judea with the lion-hearted sons of Mattathias.
As with Hillel, when he summarized the whole Torah and the commandments to love your neighbors as yourself.
I was with Aqaba when he inspired a revolution, defied an empire, and died a martyr.
I wandered with my people into many lands where the cross and the crescent reigned.
I was with them when they drank out of the bitter chalices of pain, humiliation, cruelty, and hatred.
I saw them stay sane in the midst of madness. I saw them stay civilized in the midst of brutality. I saw them lighting candles in the midst of the darkness.
Then I saw the night lift and the dawn break, and into the new world blessed with liberty and freedom.
I saw the radiance of their emancipated minds and hearts. I saw them enrich every land that gave them opportunity.
I was with them when they landed at Ellis Island and fell in love with the land that stood for liberty.
Then I saw the night descend again. I saw them suffer as no people has ever suffered before. I saw them burned and gassed and tortured.
Then, like the phoenix, I saw them rise again in the old land. I saw them begin a new life there based on the ancient teachings of justice and mercy.
I saw them nurture saplings in the wilderness and I watched them make the desert bloom.
I was with them in the 6-day war. I stood by them when their hard-earned state was in danger on Yom Kippur.
I trembled when they trembled, and I rejoiced when they rejoiced.
I was at the wall. I was in the Sinai. I was on the Golan Heights.
Shall I leave them now? Can I part company with this immortal band whom I love? They have become too dear and precious to me.
They are bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, soul of my people.
They are my people. Their quest is mine.
They will live within me, and I will live with them forever.
Thank you so much. You can stay standing because we are going to invite you to come to the ark at this time. And as we go before the ark, we'd like to invite everyone to please rise. Here, so come forward here, okay? Just make it come all the way down. Perfect. You can take the first step. Step up. Beautiful. Perfect. Special moments like this certainly warrant a blessing. We know the blessing of Shehechianu for sure. That's the one in which we thank God for giving us life and for sustaining us and for enabling us to reach this day. However, an even more precious blessing for us at a moment like this is the priestly benediction. And together we bestow this blessing onto you. May God bless you and may God keep you. May the light of God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May a sense of God's presence always surround you and bless you with peace. Amen. So, the words of Shehechianu, our prayer of joy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך בכל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad. Please be seated. So, a story. It's from the Talmud, from the tractate called Ta'anit, and it tells the story of Rabbi Hanina at the time when the temple was about to be destroyed by the Romans, by Titus. And Hanina saw this. And Hanina ran to the roof of the temple. And the Talmud describes how Hanina took the keys to the temple, and he threw the keys up into the air. And the Talmud is mixed as to what happened to the keys. One rabbi suggests that there was a big hand that came out and caught the keys, suggesting it was the hand of God. Another rabbi said the keys went up and never fell. And yet a third one suggested that the keys went up and that whenever someone was worthy, they would fall down again. And this is the part of our service called the Kaddish. And I am aware that the synagogue has a Kaddish list, but I have also included along the margins of the Kaddish prayer a number of people from your families, people who are delighting in this moment, even though they are not here with us physically, because they know that at this moment those keys are being dropped. Not dropped to the ground, dropped from heaven into your hands. On so many levels, that's what this is about. That's what confirmation is about, is saying how strong, how secure is our future. Do we have a Jewish future? And when we see 7 young people up here today who have certainly made a lot of sacrifices because they believed in being here, and we know that our future is secure. And the people who are listed in the margins, we know, we feel the smile. But at this time, while I'm not going to read the names of people from your families, I will, however, read names of people from our congregation who have passed away. And I'm pretty sure they're smiling too, because so many of the people on this list cared so deeply for the Jewish people. They cared so deeply for the strength of this congregation and this community. And so I'd like to share with you these names now. For example, Joy Beer, who was one of the original members of our congregation. Robert Tannenbaum, Bert Corwin, Benjamin Krause, Francis Lustigman, Pearl Lemberg, Deborah London, Kimberly Scalzi, Philip Packman, Helen Cohen, Walter Eichelman, Yetta Sue Berman, Cantor Ephraim Biron, Neil Proshan, Thomas Rzepka, Gladys Sikora, Constance McCarrow, Jerome Smulo, Rabbi Isaac Yerushalmi. And so in gratitude for their lives and linking their names with the rest of our loved ones who have been called to their eternal rest, we remember them all with the words of our mourner's prayer, which is called the Kaddish. Please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bialma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechal beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei al-maya, yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to every bereaved heart. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. So I'm aware that we've been going on for some time now, but it's been worth it. Just want to share a few words of thanks. First of all, to Merv Wiley-Browse for serving as our usher. She's the president of our congregation. I mean, when the president serves as an usher, you know it's an important service. So thank you so much, Merv. Also, Mazel Tov, of course, to our 7 confirmands and your families as well. I just want to tell you about a couple different things coming up. For example, my Torah study, last few sessions, we're almost done for the year, but we still have a few more. Monday at 9:30, and then I teach my class on the Sages on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Men's weekly lunch at the Double T Diner Tuesday. May Mitzvah, which is making lunches for those in need, on Friday the 19th. All this can be found in the weekly email. Men's Club Movie Night, which is crossing Delancey on May 20th, and the Men's Club Golf Tournament and Fundraiser, Friday, June 16th. I think I've said enough. Thank you, of course, for a wonderful year with us, Gabe Cantor Snyder. We're just saying kind of thank you because we have another year to go together. We are going to conclude with Motzi, and then our final song, which is called Kaddish de Rabbanan, the Rabbi's Kaddish, is how they described it. There's an Oneg Shabbat out in the lobby immediately after the service, sponsored by the temple, in honor of this day, and there are gifts for each and every one of you inside in a little bag. They were put together with love. You will be surprised by some of the goodies that are in that bag. I would encourage you to look through it and not just discard it, because it's possible there are some valuable things in there. So hope that you enjoy the gift as well from the temple. So the oneg and the gift from the temple, can't wait for you to see it. So Motzi and then Kaddish de Rabbanan. So please join me in the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
I'm also aware that there are, because people have told me, a number of people who are watching tonight on our live stream. It's been both in that camera and in that camera, so you never know which camera it's going to be. But right now it's up there, and we welcome all of you who are watching on our live stream. Some of you are watching because you have loved ones who participated in the service, and we are just delighted that you participated in any way you could. So, welcome, and thank you for being here. All right, our service concludes. Kaddish de Rabbanan.
For our teachers and their students and the students of the students, we ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say Amen. And for those who study Torah here and everywhere, may they be blessed with all they need, and let us say and let us say, Amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, Mazel Tov to those of you, if you have children up here. Thank you so much for being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you in the lobby for the Oneg Shabbat. Mazel Tov, Shabbat Shalom. We ask for peace, love God,